Good to go.
Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Well, my name's Ted Thayer. I'm coming to you from Marathon, Texas, where I've lived since 1990. I bought this wonderful old rail station and moved it here. I moved here from Terlingua, where I was in the river rafting business for 10 years, and then a couple more years of doing commercial trips here. I've done a lot of Rio Grande trips, Animas in Durango, Colorado. I worked there. I boated on the Grand Canyon a couple of 24-day trips. And now I mostly just do shuttles for these guys that friends that I've known for years. Some of them are third generation that are coming down here with me now. For 35 years I've been doing this. So I'm retired now, and I still do my upholstery business in this wonderful old rail station that I bought. My sister had an idea to move it here and restore it, so that was in 1998 I moved it here. Still trying to get funding to restore it as an historical building. It's one of the few that are left of these number 22 Southern Pacific stations, and this one is made of cypress outside and it's virgin pine inside, and most of this lumber, all the outside lumber, is from Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's stamped inside, and it was completed in 1896. They actually only made this station for 10 years, from 1885 to 1895, but this one, the history book says, was completed in 96. So it was one of the last ones made, and it was made of cypress because when the high bridge was finished at Del Rio, the train was able to bring this cypress from Lake Charles, and I think the pine was probably from Texas. It's beautiful virgin pine inside. It was painted over with about 6 coats of paint and wallpaper, and painted over because there's no insulation in this building. And I did live in it for a couple of years while I rented my trailer out here in the back out, but it was very cold in the winter. And it does hold the heat in the winter once, and in the summer it's really cool inside. That cypress has some kind of magical quality, and it has its own kind of insulation. But I've been doing my upholstery business in it for years, but I've been keeping it all original, and I'm still in the process of restoring it, so that's what I want to do. Come on out here, Mike. This is my wife, Mike. We've been married now for a month and almost a month and a half, but I've known her since she was 14 years old. She's the only girl I dated in high school. We went to my prom together, and then I went off to college and we dated for another year, but then we went off and had these parallel lives. Now we're back together again. We've both been married twice before. We have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. We've got grandkids, and she's got great grandkids. So I've got this wonderful new expanded family, and she's the best help I've ever had around here, besides these 2 dogs. And this is her dog, Lulu. This is Harry, Uli, Lulu, and the Grizzly. This is her guard dog here.
I didn't know you were doing this, so I think I'm going to.
And she's an Aggie mom too. The last time we dated, I was a freshman at A&M, and I wound up dropping out. I finally went to school, back to college at Sul Ross in 2001, 40 years after I dropped out. So I studied music there. I play the saxophone, and that's one of my favorite things to do. That's my other passion besides river rafting and all these old cars and trucks here. So my nickname is Talking Ted from Terlingua, Talking Ted Thayer. So that's my handle, and I'm kind of proud of it. I got that name at Far Flung Adventures from Steve Harris. He's the one that named me that because I was actually the mechanic slash boatman slash shuttle driver slash sign painter, and so he always wondered who I was talking to out there in that garage. He would sneak up on me and try to see who the heck I was talking to. I was talking to those Chevy motors.
Lulu!
I told him that's how you make them run. She's okay, huh? Get over here. Lulu,
No.
come on.
No.
Well, that dog can slip through any gate.
Lulu!
So that's the story of the depot, and pretty much the story of my life. I was born in New York City in Manhattan. I grew up in Houston by the time I was 3.5 years old, and I moved out here in 1980.
No!
When Mike started her career, she started her career with the Palm Restaurant chain. out the Palm Nursery. Then she worked there until she retired, so now we're both retired, and we're having a wonderful life.
Can we help her grab the dog?
Yeah.
All right, let me pause it right quick.
After I moved to Marathon, it kind of changed my life quite a bit. I was married at that time to my second wife, and we did a lot of gardening, and we bought properties and restored them, and I kept doing the shuttle business. For a couple of years I still did river raft trips, but the Stillwell store, I got in cahoots with them and started doing all the Lower Canyons trips for them, and we pretty much do all the private trips and the college trips around the country. So it's been a source of seasonal part-time income, and since I retired at 62, and then I gave up my upholstery business here for the years I was in school, five to 6 years, and then I got bored. I decided I would come back and try to find my tools and try to remember where everything was around here and go back to work, because I really enjoy doing upholstery, and it's kind of a fun thing, and I'm probably the only person in the Tri-County area doing it, so I'm taking off for the rest of the year. I'm not taking any more new work. Covered up, and I just took about a month off to get married and go on a honeymoon, and we went to Beaumont, and we went to north of Houston, where Mike lived, and got all of her stuff right at home. So this is my new career. My first love is my last love. Together forever. That's our motto. So that's where I am now, and I'm putting these guys on. This is the first time I've put Braxton on, and hope to see him again. But like I said, I'm putting in the grandsons of some of the people I originally put in.
Okay.
And there are a lot of guys my age that are coming out here saying they're doing their last trip, and I've been putting them on for years, 35 years, some of these people. So it's been really fun. I still enjoy it.
If you had to give one piece of advice for paddling, just paddling advice in general, what would it be?
Lean downstream. That would be my advice.
Right.
Lean downstream. And my other advice out here is watch for two-legged rattlesnakes. They're the most deadly kind.
What's I guess the most unique group that you shuttled on the river?
The most what?
Unique group.
Oh, the most unique group. That's a very hard question. Well, it might be these people that Fred calls the idiots. They made it 18 miles on their trip. They were from Missouri. They had two, there's been other unique groups, but these people, this really sticks out in our mind, and Fred and I laugh our heads off every time we talk about them, because Fred made me a bet that they would not make it out. And so they actually made it 18 miles in 3 days. And one guy walked out 20 miles to the highway to us. He didn't even know where he was. He was at the Black Gap headquarters. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he called me to rescue them. And they had 2 canoes that they made into a catamaran, and they put a little Honda motor on it, and waited till the park ranger was out of sight. They were actually setting up next to the park orientation trip for the spring. They waited till the park ranger left and brought all that stuff out and set it up, and then the motor broke down. They ran out of gas, or the motor broke down. They said Fred gave them some bad gas, but it was the same gas he had in his motorcycle that he was following them along with. He would go down every day and check on them, call me and give me a report. And so I had to go down and rescue those guys. It took them the entire day to just get back to here in their car. And I would not go down there and help pick them up. I just took the guy's truck. I took a driver and brought myself back and said, good luck. But that was pretty funny. I wound up buying their canoes when they left. They didn't want a canoe anymore. That was pretty good. But I take these, there's one group, Austin Firemen, that I put on about every year. They're going to be 2 days behind you. And they're really nice guys. It's hard for them all to get off at once. I've taken a group of nurses from the Houston Medical Center down. They all took them about a year to all get scheduled to get off at once. That was a pretty interesting trip. One of them was from Terlingua, and she brought a bunch of friends, and that was a really unique trip. Every trip is unique, actually. The people are different. It's there's a lot people have in common, but also everyone that does this is a pretty unique, adventurous individual for the most part. And sometimes people come out for this week-long trip when they don't have enough experience. And I would suggest, my suggestion would be to do a shorter trip first. Do a day trip, do a 2 or 3 day trip. You can do a trip through the park for 2 or 3 days. Boquillas is the canyon above the lower canyons. That's a good orientation. So a lot of people come out here. The commercial trips that I did, I had some people that just like totally flipped out. They were completely out of their environment, and they were out there for their own reasons, and they weren't ready to be in the wilderness for a week. They weren't ready to be out of the city for more than a day or two. And so that was always an experience. But the commercial trips was a lot of work. Private trips, school trips, it's a whole different thing. So that's all I do now. I do the shuttles for schools and private trips, and the commercial trips, they do their own thing. But we're really situated here between La Linda, or actually Heath Canyon Ranch, which is this side of the river, and Marathon. We're really in a good situation logistically to do these lower canyon trips. Terlingua is so far away, they have to charge a lot of money, and it's really something I don't really want to do these shuttles on the lower canyons. So it's been kind of a bonus to me, and I did it for about 25 years with the Stillwell store. Then the family, the daughters took it over. The mother died, the grandmother died. She died, Hallie Stillwell. She's one of the most famous original settlers out here since 1910. She taught school, she started that store. They had a big ranch out there. She died at almost 100 years old. And her daughter Dadie took over. She died at 73. Her 3 daughters took over. They've all died. And so now Dadie's husband has a son that's taking over the store. There's a couple people down there, so it was closed down for about 3 months. Hush, hush, Uzi. So now it's back in business, and I didn't used to do the put-ins. Stillwell's used to help me with the put-ins, but they don't want to do shuttles anymore, so it's all on me. But I kind of enjoy going down there, so I'm doing the put-ins and the takeouts now, and I have a wonderful new helper. So we're going to break her in, teach her the river business.